Hi, my name is Reggie Wright. I work for the East Brunswick Police Department, and over the next 10 weeks, I will be your host for the Law Enforcement Against Drugs curriculum. I hope this program will inspire our youth and encourage them for the rest of their lives. Mia, Landon, thank you. Thank you for being here again. My two special co-hosts. Lesson number two. Lesson number two today is making responsible decisions. Responsible decisions. Last week we spoke about goals. We spoke about reaching or setting reachable goals. We talked about you have to name your goal, you have to picture yourself, you have to say I can, you have to think how to do it, you have to go for it, you have to celebrate your success. We talked about there's 4 criteria when you're setting your goal, the 3 P's and the S. We said it's personal. Your goal has to be personal. It has to be possible, something you can achieve. You have to have a positive goal and a positive mindset. And what's the S?
Specific.
Absolutely. Something that you can measure, something you can accomplish. This week, we're talking about responsible decisions, all right? Making responsible decisions. Now, typically in life, there's 2 types of decisions that we're going to make. Those are good decisions or bad decisions. Sometimes it may be tough because sometimes you may have to make a decision in terms of, what do I want to eat? Carrots, broccoli, spinach. Those all are good decisions. At that point in time, you have to make the decision that's best for you. But oftentimes, we have to try to figure out what's a good decision and what's a bad decision, because decisions have consequences. What's a consequence? What's a consequence? What do you think a consequence is?
A consequence is I kind of think of it as when you make a decision, it's kind of the aftermath of what happened. So it's like
Absolutely.
You get something or you lose something as a consequence.
Absolutely, it's very good. Consequence is usually the result of an action. The result of an action or a choice that you've made. So if you make a good decision, it can yield a positive consequence. If you make a bad decision, it can yield a negative consequence. Can you think of an example of any time in your life that you made a bad decision? It could be anything. It could be something minor, something small, where you made a bad decision, you look back and you go, I wish I would have done something different.
Maybe when I slapped my brother when he wasn't looking.
That's not a good decision at all. That's a very bad decision. You should not hit anyone, so that's a very bad decision. Let me tell you a decision that my son made one time. So you guys understand the concept of recess in school because you're in school. So you understand recess. Do you look forward to recess?
Mm-hmm. Not really.
Not really? Do you look forward to it?
Since I'm not really in elementary school, not really, but.
Not really? But when you were in elementary school, did you look forward to recess?
Oh yeah, I could go to play outside.
Okay, so my son now goes to a different school. He goes to a new school, but his school they was going to last year, they gave him a recess, 1 recess per day for about 30 minutes. Now, here's the thing. Recess is typically outside. He gets a chance to run, gets his energy out, gets a chance to play with his friends. What happens when it rains? What happens when it rains?
You have to go inside.
You have to go inside, and they call that indoor recess. Now, my son does not like indoor recess because indoor recess usually consists of playing board games. He's like, board games does not help me run around and get my energy out and play on the playground. So the teacher told him one day, told his class, he said, listen guys, I'm sorry it's raining, but we can't go outside for recess. We have to stay inside for recess. So they stayed inside. Now, based on that fact that she told me they had to stay inside for recess, he didn't like that. So his attitude, do you think it was positive or negative? What do you think?
Negative.
He had a negative attitude. Negative attitude because he had to stay inside for indoor recess. Now, once school or the classroom portion of school resumed, how do you think his attitude was in the class, Mia?
It was negative.
It was negative. Now, do you think having a negative attitude is going to help him achieve his goals, or is going to hinder him from achieving his goals?
It's going to hinder him.
It's going to hinder him from achieving his goals. So this is the things that we have to think about. We think about making responsible decisions. He has to be able to control his actions and think, listen, I couldn't go outside today. It's one day out of many days. I couldn't go outside today. But if I can be responsible for my decision of having a positive attitude, because remember we talked about last week in lesson 1, that life is often 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it, right? And attitude is more important than ability. So if he has the right attitude, that will help him make responsible decisions. Now, when we're thinking about making responsible decisions, there's an acronym that we use. That acronym is STAR. STAR. What is the S?
Stop.
Stop. Why is that important to stop?
So that you don't act right away.
So you don't act right away. Stop and think and ponder before you make a decision. Now, does either one of you play chess?
I used to play with just my dad, but
You used to play?
I play checkers.
Checkers. So let's use chess or checkers. I have my son play chess or checkers every single weekend. We always play chess or checkers, one of the two. Now, if you know anything about chess, the most important piece on the chessboard is the
king.
The king. The king. The king is the most important piece on the chessboard. You want to protect the king. Now, I always tell my son this when he's playing chess. I always tell him to stop, and then what's the T?
Think.
Think. Stop and think before he makes a move. Because his next move could cost him his what?
The game.
The king. It could cost him his king. Stop and think before you make a move, just like checkers. You have to think about the decision you're making before you make that move, because it could cost you the other men on the board, the other pieces on the board, right? So you have to think about what you're doing. So stop, think. What's the A?
Act.
Good. Stop, think, act, and then
Reflect.
reflect. So you want to stop before you make a decision. Like you said, slow down. Slow down, especially if you have time. Stop and think about what you're doing and what the consequences may be if you make a certain decision. Here's an example. You said last week in lesson number 1 that your goal was to do better in math. So if you go home and your brother's like, hey, I want to go outside and play basketball, but you know you need to practice. You know you need to do more math facts, so go on the computer. You have to make a decision. If you make a decision to go outside and play basketball, even though that's not inherently wrong, is that helping you reach your goal?
No.
But if you say, you know what, I may play basketball with you a little later, but right now I need to read or I need to do math, is that going to help you achieve your goal?
Yes.
Yes, it will. Same thing with you. You're trying to you're auditioning for this position of Dorothy. What are some things that you need to do when you're thinking about achieving that goal?
I need to practice. I need to maybe watch The Wizard of Oz to see exactly what Dorothy does.
Absolutely, and that's so important. So if one of your friends said, Mia, hey, well, I'm gonna come over and we can just sit on the front porch and just talk for maybe an hour or so, you may have to go, I can't do that today because I need to watch The Wizard of Oz so I can see what Dorothy does in the movie so it can help me for my audition. That's a good decision, right? That's a good decision. What are some things that you think people do in school or some maybe classmates or some of your peers have done in school that wasn't a good decision that you can think of? Any examples you could think of some things people have done that weren't good decisions?
Maybe going to the bathroom without a hall pass.
Going to the bathroom without a hall pass. What else?
So in my school, like they had like something called cup coupons.
Okay.
And so somebody earned one, and then somebody else took it and wrote a curse word on it.
That's not a good decision. You have to make good decisions. It's so important. It's vital. It's essential to achieving your goal. Each and every day when you get up, you have to think about the choices you're going to make. Right? You're young enough where now you're carving and you're navigating throughout life. As you progress, as you get older, to teens and then young adults, you have to think about the choices you make. The choices you make today can affect you tomorrow. Sometimes people make choices and it's hard to recover from them. So you have to be mindful. This acronym is important. You have to literally stop and think about decisions that you're making because it could potentially cost you your life. There's been a lot of kids, a lot of adults, a lot of teenagers that have been hurt, harmed, or have even been killed because of decisions they have made. If you take the seconds, the minutes, even hours if you have them, and you stop and think about what you're about to do, even if the people you're with think it's cool, sometimes you have to make a decision that's not cool. And that decision that may not be cool amongst your peers could save your life, right? So always think about that. You have a long life ahead of you. Make good decisions. Make responsible decisions. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Anything you want to add to that?
No.
No? What about you? Anything you want to add to that?
No.
No? So when you think about decisions, all right, think about the impact it's going to have on you for years to come. That's what I used to think about. So when I was in school, for example, when I was in college, I used to think, wow, college, a lot of people want to have fun. They want to party. They just want to have a good time. The main reason to go into school is to get an education. Right?
Can I say one more thing about
Sure,
decisions?
go ahead.
Decisions could be really good and they could be really bad. You could do one decision and it could involve like illegal things for the rest of your life. And that's on your record. You can't erase that.
Absolutely.
So just think about what you do before you do it.
Absolutely. You have to think about what you're doing before you do it. And a lot of that goes into oftentimes the people are around. And we're going to talk about that later on in this curriculum because one of the lessons is on peer pressure. But you have to think about the people that you're around. You know, your peer group, the influence, the people you're around. I can tell you right now, if I was in school, I would hang out with the two of you. I really would. Because I know that you both have a good head on your shoulders. What I mean by a good head on your shoulders, that means that you're inspiring to become productive people in society, right? And that's important, you know? And that's what I tell my son all the time. When he goes to school, make responsible decisions. Make responsible decisions who you're going to be friends with. Choose your friends wisely. I tell him all the time, show me your friends, I will show you your future, right? Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. If you want to do better in math and get good math grades, find some students that do their work, that do good in math, and hang out with them. They may not be the coolest, but if they're getting grades, that's the cool thing to do. Same thing with you. You know, you're a leader. I can just tell, I've always known that. Lead others, you know. If they don't want to study, they don't want to get their work done, encourage them. Encourage them to make responsible decisions.
Don't be a follower.
Don't be a follower, be a leader. That's true. And it's okay to be a follower because sometimes we have to follow people in certain situations and circumstances, right?
Or follow good leaders.
Right, follow someone that's going to lead you well. Right, follow someone that's going to lead you well. And that will help you because a good leader is going to encourage you to make what kind of decision?
Good decision.
A good decision. And a good decision comes with positive consequences, right? So always remember that. Don't ever forget that you have to make responsible decisions if you want to achieve your goal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I thank you so much for being here again. I love the fact that you two are here as my co-hosts. I wouldn't choose anyone else than just the two of you. And I look forward to lesson number 3. Thank you.